Welcome to this video. In here, we're going to looking at how to combine random variables. So combining independent discrete random variables. Remind me, what does discrete means? It means a certain values. So numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, those are discrete numbers. Random variables are the numbers tied to a probability, also known as numerical random phenomenon. So let's use this example to open our class. Let A equal to the number of baskets per quarter by Ashley. Let B equal to the number of baskets per quarter by Brianna. And let's first fill out the tables right here. So for each numbers of baskets per quarter, they have 1/3 probability. So to get the expected value for A, we're just going to use the formula that we learned from last video and get number is 2. To get the variance, same thing, using the formula, we get 2/3. And to get standard deviation, we're just going to square root of variance, and we get 0.82. Same thing for Brianna. Since she only has 2 possibilities, each possibility should be 1/2. And let's remind ourselves about how to do the adding and subtracting calculations for mean, variance, and standard deviation. So when you're adding a value, for example, if I ask you to find the total mean for these two people, you're gonna simply adding the expected value for A and B. You get 6.5. And how to get the total variance? You're also gonna have to add them together, which is 0.92. To get the standard deviation, you are going to add them together. So it's simple enough. Like when you're doing the adding orientations, you're just gonna add each numbers together. And when you're subtracting each other, the order matters. You're gonna use 2 minus 4.5, which gives you negative 2.5. For the variance, you're gonna get 0.92. And remember in here, when you're doing, no matter you're doing adding or subtracting for the variance, it will always be adding. So don't try to subtract these two variants together, you're only gonna add them. For the standard deviation, same thing. Since standard deviation is basically the square root of variance, so it has the same calculations we're going to follow. So it's still going to be adding, no matter it's adding or subtracting. Use probability rules to combine the two players like this. First of all, these two players should be independent. That's our prerequisite. So for the table that we built up right here, we're going to first adding the numbers of the baskets per quarter for these two people. And we get these 4 numbers. We got 5 by adding 1 and 4. We got 6 by adding 1 and 5. We got 7 by adding 2 and 5. And we got 8 by adding 3 and 5. And same thing, we're going to adding the probability for corresponding values. And we get these. So how are we going to find the probability of 5? Well, there's a calculations rule we can do, which is using the probability of when Ashley got 1 baskets per quarter times the probability when Brianna gets 4 baskets per quarter, and times them together, we get this value right here. And the probability of 6 is same thing, probability of A equal to 1 times probability of B equal to 5. Or there's another combination right here. You can use probability of A equal to 2 times probability of B equal to 4 and add them together. We get this number. For probability of 7, you can use 2 and 5 or 3 and 4. Depends on you, but you should get the same value. Probability of A, we only got one option, which is 3 and 5, so you can get this. So those numbers, I just randomly picked like the combinations of those, but the key idea is to show you how to do the calculations when adding or subtracting the probability of two people. So let's summarize a little bit right here. When asking to find the expected value of 2 events adding or subtracting together, you're going to add or subtract the expected value of each. When asking to find the variance of 2 events adding or subtracting, you are always going to add the variance together. For the standard deviation, same thing, you're always going to add them together and taking the square root. And don't add the standard deviation together directly. You're going to always approaching from the variance first and then taking the square root, because otherwise you will get different values and that will be wrong. So consider two independent random variables, x and y. Mu x is equal to 10, mu y is 14, standard deviation of x is 2, standard deviation of y is 3. Find mu of x minus y. So remember the formula we just learned? When you're subtracting two events to find their difference for the expected value, you're simply going to subtract their independent expected value, which gives you -4. To find the standard deviation of x minus y, no matter you're adding or subtracting, you're always going to add the variance first and take the square root. Therefore, you get 3.61. Okay, that's just a little practice. Hope you learned something from this video, and I'm sorry for this. Like I say it like kind of misleading the beginning, but those numbers I just randomly pick, and I just want you to know the probability, like how do you do it. So you're not going to directly adding the probabilities together, that would be wrong. So what you're going to do is apply the multiplication rule for probability and getting the final answer. Okay, not so bad. Thank you.